The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the command post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. Now, of course, I'm your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. A couple of quick topics I wanted to wrap with you about today to kick off the weekend. I was sitting home thinking about some positions and things that we could do to upgrade this roster. And we had an interesting conversation last night with the Commanders Kings. And I think I had this conversation with Rio before. I don't quite remember when it was. I don't think it was last night in particular. But it might have been the show before, or me and him might have been talking off camera, whatever the case may be. He had mentioned at one point safety, and it might have been last night where he brought up the safety position in particular. And it got me to thinking about safety because there's this, I think, misnomer about the safety position that we're good there. We don't need to do anything at safety. We're fine. And I want to talk about that. And I want to actually do a quick deep dive on the safety position in particular, because I even think I was somewhat negligent when we did our look at the roster. But more importantly, we kind of, took a hard look at free agency. I think I even was guilty of glossing over the safety position just because of how I think they feel about some of the safeties on the roster. But when you start to actually peel back the layers, I think safety's an underrated need on this team. We'll get to that in a second. But before that, let's start with our old friend K. Full. Kendall Fuller was released by the Miami Dolphins, along with a couple of other players, as teams start to do some, spring cleaning of sorts to get ready for the new, league year. The combine's right around the corner. Once the combine hits, you start getting all of your affairs in order for the start of the new league year in free agency. So teams are starting to get their cap situation healthy, get in line and in ordinance with the cap, because you have to be at a certain point before the start of the new league year. So teams are going ahead and getting their books right. Kendall Fuller was one of the cap casualties in Miami. He signed a 2-year deal. So there was probably an out after the first year if they weren't satisfied with the product that they got. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't watch a lot of Kendall Fuller this year. I watched all of the Dolphins games for the most part, but I wasn't zeroing in on Kendall Fuller to see how he was playing necessarily. So I can't tell you that he's washed. He is 30. He literally turned 30 yesterday. Okay, so he is 30 years old. And I always tell you, the cornerback position is no country for old men. However, Kendall is a very smart player, a guy that adds value. But here's my take on Kendall Fuller, right? Because like always, our fan base, we love to, try to rekindle the magic, right? We love to go dust off an old friend, right? Try to bring them home. We love to go out and lust over other people's stuff, right? Every time somebody gets released, every time someone's on the trade block, every time a former player is available. Like I heard somebody talking about, hey, because Brandon Sheriff is a free agent. Hey, I would love to bring Brandon Sheriff. F Brandon Sheriff. He didn't want us. F him. I don't want Brandon Sheriff's ass back. He can kick rocks. Now that we got our shit together, you don't get to come back and reap the benefits of some shit you didn't help build. Okay, nah, stay out there in Jacksonville or KS to some other lowly, destitute destination and finish up your damn career there. Cool, right? Take your ass to Cleveland or some shit, right? That's where he should go, right? But Kendall Fuller's different. However, this is all I'll say on this subject matter. If they wanted Kendall Fuller, they could have re-signed him when he was 29 years old, right? Do you want 30-year-old Kendall back after you let him leave? If you valued Kendall Fuller when you got here, you would have just re-signed him. That same 2-year deal that the Dolphins gave him, you could have given him. And you could have got out after one like the Dolphins did. Or you could have just extended him a 1-year deal that would have paid him more money than the Dolphins did. You could have gave him a 1-year, $9 million deal. He signed for 2 years, what, $14 million, I believe it was? Whatever the number was, you could have matched it or exceeded it in a 1-year deal if you didn't want to sign up for 2. Or you could have given him a 2-year deal. They gave him 14 and a half, I believe. You could have gave him 2 years, 15. All right. If you wanted him, you could have kept him. You didn't want him, obviously. It's not like Kendall Fuller was one of the first guys off the free agent market. There was time, I think he signed like day 2 or 3 of free agency. If they wanted him back, they were here in enough time to assess the roster, and they could have extended an offer to Kendall Fuller if they wanted him to be here. They kept the guys that they thought could help them turn this thing around. And look, they were right. Okay? They were right. They pressed a lot of the right buttons. I'm not telling you they were right for letting K Full walk. He was one of the ones I told you I would have kept. There was value in Kendall Fuller in my mind's eye. There weren't a lot of guys that held value here from the last regime. Clearly, as we saw very quickly, they started chopping off the heads of dudes who we thought had value, who were former first-round picks. They didn't even hold value with the new regime. But a guy like Kendall Fuller did hold value with me. I thought there was, still some juice left there that was worth the squeezing. And I did think that at a position that clearly was one of need, that we could have held on to a veteran that could have helped. However, they thought differently about the situation, and I'm fine with that. So now that he's released a year later, do you really think it makes sense for them to now go get him when they had a chance to just keep him here in the first place? That doesn't make any sense to me. And so I don't see Kendall Fuller returning here. And once again, in my mind, you go out and get you a real starting corner opposite of Marshawn Lattimore, and you bring back Noah Igbenogany. I'd rather do that than go out and get Kendall Fuller. Now, if Kendall Fuller is willing to come here on a 1-year, $6-7 million deal to be the 4th corner on this roster, or the 3rd corner even, right, as a backup to our boundary corners, you damn right I'd sign up for that in a heartbeat. But I'm not signing Kendall Fuller to be a starter here, right? Just like I'm not signing Noah Igbenogany to start here. But Noah Igbenogany knows that, right? You bring Noah Igbenogany back, he knows he's coming back here to play special teams and to be a core backup. Like, anything happens in the slot, Noah can go in. Anything happens out wide, you need in a pinch. Like, I want us to have a 3rd corner that is just a boundary corner, right? A 3rd corner that is just a backup boundary corner. And then if something happens to that guy as well, Noah Igbenogany can fill in, in that instance. Or you could even slide Mikey outside and Noah can go back inside if at all, possible, if need be, right? But if Kendall Fuller if you want to bring K Full back as a 4th corner, I got no issues with that. But clearly they like Bobby Price. They brought him back again, right? They're going to take him to camp again, and we'll see what happens with Bobby Price. They like his size, right? And so they're going to continue to reshuffle that deck. But in my mind, they're bringing in a veteran cornerback to start opposite of Marshawn Lattimore, and his name is not Kendall Fuller, okay? And so I've said this numerous times, I'd bring back Noah Igbenogany. Noah did nothing wrong to not be here, right? He did everything we asked him to do and probably exceeded a lot of our expectations. And he's still a core special teamer when it's all said and done if you're not using him in a defensive capacity. So he adds tons of value, and I see no reason why Noah Igbenogany shouldn't be back. You already have Marshawn Lattimore and Mikey Samer still, so that would give you 3. I think you're going to add a corner like Mooney Ward. That'll give you 4. And if you want to add Kendall Fuller as your 5th corner, I'd love that group. But I don't think they're going to add Kendall Fuller. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'd much rather that 5th corner be a rookie. Going to be a lot cheaper and a guy that you can develop while you have veterans in front of him who should keep him off the field, theoretically speaking. That's how I would attack that position, right? But again, if you think you have a window to win, which we do, you can't have this roster loaded full of young players that you have to rely on. That's not winning football. You can sprinkle in the occasional rookie here and there, right? But if you think you got a chance to win, you need to be relying on veteran players who have been there, done that. You sprinkle in the occasional rookie here and there, but you can't be relying on rookies. That's not a smart way to go about it. Now, I'm not telling you you can't. Not all rookies are created equal, right? We relied on a rookie last year at the cornerback position. He did wonders for us. We relied on a quarterback at the rookie at the quarterback position. He did wonders for us. We relied on a left tackle. It was mixed results, but he got us through, right? But that's not the recipe. You know what I'm saying? You want to sprinkle in a rookie here and there, right? And to me, if you do it the right way, you should be able to draft a young guy and develop him, if at all possible. He may have to be thrust into action and thrown into the fire at some point due to injuries or circumstances out of his control, but you don't necessarily want to, like, it's not ideal for us to draft a receiver and have him be our number 2. That's not ideal. To ask a rookie to come into this situation where we think we got a chance to win a Super Bowl and ask him to produce like a number 2 receiver in this league. That's not fair to a young guy. That's not fair. I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm just telling you that's not fair because you put a lot of expectation on that guy. And if he doesn't come in and produce right away, people are going to be looking at him like, what the hell's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? You want to set guys up to succeed. Now, again, should that stop you from drafting a running back, a wide receiver, an edge rusher, a tackle, a corner at 29? No, it shouldn't. But I also urge you not to be relying on that 29th pick to come in here and be a, day one starter, tearing the league up, producing at a high level. That's not how that goes, generally speaking, on a good team, which we are. That's why you're picking at 29. Right? This is no different than an NBA roster, right? I get it. It's not apples to apples, but on a championship team, on a championship roster, rarely do rookies get tons of minutes. It's really interesting because my Memphis Grizzlies are starting 2 rookies this year. We think we have a chance to compete in the West. We're the number 2 seed right now out West. We're starting 2 rookies. That's rare. To even start 1, let alone 2, it's rare. But if you can get away with it, you get away with it. But generally speaking, you think you got a chance to win, you shouldn't be relying on a ton of rookies. So I said all of that to say this. There's no way in hell Kendall Fuller comes back here. Long story short, right? I went in a big ass circle to come all the way around and tell you, hell no to Kendall Fuller. I wouldn't mind it, but he's not on this roster before a veteran like Mooney Ward and Noah Igbenogany. That's just me. Noah Igbenogany's 25 years old. Did a lot of good things for us. He's not on the roster before him. And he's not on the roster before a true starting number 2 corner. But after that, I'm interested. Right? After that, I'm interested. But don't forget, Mikey's already on the roster. You bring back Noah I. You sign a veteran corner. That's 4. That's 4, right? Do you want Kendall Fuller as your 5th corner? You can do a hell of a lot worse. I'd rather give that to a rookie. That's just me. So let's talk about the safety position. It's okay to expect a starter at 29. I'm not telling you not to expect a starter at 29. What I'm telling you is you need to set proper expectations for a rookie at 29. I'm not telling you not to start him. That's not what I'm saying. You draft a guy in the first round, you expect a starter. first and second round. But again, what level of expectation are you placing upon that starter at 29? The Chiefs draft last year, rookie Xavier Worthy. They expected to start him, and they played him a ton, but they weren't expecting him to put up 1,000 yards in his rookie season. They didn't need him to do that, right? They expected him to start and contribute at a high level, but they weren't expecting him to put up these grandiose numbers. That's what I'm saying. It's okay to expect a first-round pick to start. Who doesn't? I do. I'm expecting a first-round starter, a second-round starter. That's why we've been disappointed with guys that we've drafted in the second round, guys that we've drafted in the first round, because they haven't come in and been starters. We drafted Fedarian Mathis to be a backup. Make that make sense. Like, what are we talking about? What are we doing, right? That's why a lot of people are upset about Ben Sinnott. Did we just spend a second-round pick on a guy that may just be a fullback, Kyle Juszczyk? Like, people are like, no, that they didn't do that. I don't think they did that either. But second-round pick, I expect, and that's what I'm saying. When you draft someone that high, there are expectations that become tied to them. If you already have veterans in place and you take a corner and you already have 2 starters, guess what the expectation is? Oh, we drafted a guy that we're going to develop, or we drafted a guy that was the most talented at the time when we were on the board, but we don't expect him to start. So you set expectations that are reasonable. We have a void at corner. You draft a corner at 29. The expectation is that guy has to start, and he better be good. See Emmanuel Forbes, right? Perfect example. See Emmanuel Forbes. Anyway, I digress. So let's get to the safety position. So I led off the show by talking about safety and how that's a position that I think is an underrated position of need. When we talk about positions on this roster, we often gloss over safety as if it's this foregone conclusion that we're fine there. We don't need anybody. We got safeties. We've got depth. We're fine, right? And when you look at the roster, one could argue that's the case, assuming, and I don't like to assume, you know what they say about assuming, but assuming we bring back Jeremy Chinn, one could make the case that, yeah, no, we've got safeties. We're fine. I was like, yeah, not exactly. Not exactly. I wouldn't say fine. Say we're okay, but we could be better. We talk about wanting to create turnovers, something I've brought up and made it a point of emphasis, something that Dan Quinn himself at the end of the season said, we got to take the ball away. Duh. We all know that. But watching the Eagles win the Super Bowl, it highlighted it even more. You've got to take the ball away. And we got to see it on display and what taking the ball away does for you in the playoffs, right? That Lions game, and we talked about it last night on the Commanders King show. If you haven't already checked it out, do yourself a favor. Last night's show was epic. It was actually a really good show. You know, we came on late and didn't know what to expect, and boom, we delivered a gem. Check it out if you haven't already done so. But we talked about the turnovers. I talked about them particularly in that Detroit game. Like, we needed every one of them. We got 5 in that game, and we needed 4 of them in order to win, right? 3 at a bare minimum. But 4 of those turnovers were instrumental and vital to the success of the Commanders upsetting the Lions on the road in the divisional round. We need more turnovers. So let's just take a quick look at safety position. All right. So not going to bore you with the particulars here, but this was our safety room last year. Starting at free safety was Quan Martin. Starting at strong safety was Jeremy Chinn. They had Derek Forrest as a backup. They had Percy Butler as a backup. And you also had Jeremy Reeves. Those were your 5 safeties. That was the safety room. Okay. Now you fast forward to 2025 and the start of the new league year. Jeremy Chinn signed a 1-year deal. He is no longer technically on the roster, but a lot of people seem to think he's one of the candidates of those 1-year deals that were signed last year to be back here on a long-term deal. We'll see. I think they really like Jeremy Chinn. I really like Jeremy Chin. Do I love Jeremy Chin? No. But do I like Jeremy Chin? Do I like what he brings to the table? Do I think he fits the type of football they like to play? Yes. Yes, I do. Could Jeremy Chin be more effective down by the line of scrimmage? I think so. We know they want to play a hybrid 3 safety type of defense. I'm at this point, Percy Butler is an excellent special teams player, but I'm almost tired of Percy Butler on the field defensively. Like, I've seen enough of him overrunning plays, taking poor ankles, missing tackles. I remember that first game against the Eagles. It was a critical third down. We sent a blitz. Percy Butler, his responsibility was Saquon Barkley. He came down late. He came down like a banshee screaming out of hell, and he missed him, and he ran for like 35 yards on 3rd and 5, and it was a critical third down conversion in the game. I'm just sick and tired of Percy Butler making mistakes, missing tackles, taking poor angles, not making plays. He doesn't impact the game defensively. He's an excellent special teams player. Would love to have him just based off of that fact. But if you're talking about impacting the game defensively, Percy Butler doesn't do it, right? They're not going to bring back Defoe. They proved last year that as much as they claimed to have liked him and wanted to get him on the field, they weren't pressed to get him on the field. Like, if you really like a guy and you want to get him on the field, you'll get him on the field. There's no conversation about it. You're just going to do it, right? You're going to put in packages, because there were more than enough 3 safety looks. There were more than enough opportunities for them to bring Jeremy Chin down closer to the box, use him as this hybrid linebacker, and add in a 3rd safety. And usually when they would do that, it would be Percy Butler, not Derek Forrest. It wasn't until late in the season where they started giving Derek Forrest opportunities. I don't think he's going to be back, which is fine. None of us are upset about him not being back potentially. So, and we're not moving on from Jeremy Reeves. He's a core member of this team. So you've got under contract right now 3 safeties: Quan Martin, Percy Butler, Jeremy Reeves. I believe Reeves is under contract. I'm not sure about that. Matter of fact, let's take a look at the free agent list real quick. My guess is, let's see. We don't have to guess. We can just look at this list of safeties. I think we signed him to a 2-year deal, though. But then again, if I'm not mistaken, we didn't sign many people to 3-year deals or 2-year deals or multi-year deals. I'm not sure. Let's check. Our roster and check and see our free agents. Jeremy Reeves. Let's see. Yep, we signed a 2-year deal with him. 2 years, $6 million. So he is still a free agent. All right, still on the roster, which I thought. So with that said, all right, we have, and I'll lower this for a second as we get this sorted out. Then we'll take a look at some of these. So we got 3 safeties under contract: Quan Martin, Percy Butler, Jeremy Reeves. The prevailing thought right now is that Jeremy Chin will be back. That'll give you 4. So you'll still have another roster spot available at safety. Again, assuming that they don't bring back Derek Forrest, which none of us believe that's going to be the case. Remember, We did draft Dominique Hampton last year, but they've converted him from safety to linebacker. So he's no longer in the safety room. So there's another spot available at safety. And when you look around the NFL and you look at the teams that produce turnovers, they're getting heavy production out of the safety position in terms of creating turnovers. We just don't. Our guys don't look to create turnovers. A great example was early in the season. I think we were playing Baltimore, or matter of fact, it was Cincinnati, and Quan Martin had a chance for an interception, but he was like so laser focused on the receiver coming across instead of looking for the football. He was in great position. If he's looking for the ball, he probably could pick it off, but he doesn't. Right. Another example: we're playing Tampa Bay in the NFC divisional or wild card game, and we know the slant's coming to Mike Evans. Everybody knows it. You know it. I know it. They know it. And they run the damn slant to Mike Evans anyway. Quan buzzes over, right? He's right there, and he turns his back around to go face guard the receiver instead of tracking the ball. If he tracks the ball, it's a pick. It might be a 104-yard pick six. But he's not that kind of player, right? He's a tips and overthrows type of guy, like he had in Detroit, right? Overthrow, picks it off, takes it to the crib. He's a tips and overthrows type of guy. He's not I'm about to go take this away. He ain't Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, right? He ain't CJ Gardner-Johnson. He ain't Reed Blankenship, the two Eagle safeties. He ain't that. He ain't Justin Reed. He ain't one of these dudes that's going to attack the ball in flight. He ain't one of them dudes. He's not Kalen Bullocks of the Texans. Their young safety had like 5-6 picks this year. He was a rookie. Had about 5-6 picks this season. It'd be nice to have one of those type of guys, huh? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to look at these free agents real quick. Don't get attached, because I don't see us spending no real money other than re-signing Jeremy Chin at the safety position. So don't get attached to any of these names. Let's run through this list real quick. Justin Reed, I just talked about him. He's a free agent of the two-time Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Justin Simmons, getting up there in age, 31 years old. Marcus Epps, Xavier Woods. He's got history with Dan Quinn and company, I believe. I think he overlapped with them for a year in Dallas, maybe not. Jeremy Chin, obviously, you see where he is. He's about to turn 27 years old. I think they're going to bring him back, and I don't think it's going to cost a lot. Let's see what they say his market value is. $6 million. So it's not going to cost you a whole hell of a lot, and I think he fits what they want to do. So I don't see them spending a lot of money. Julian Blackmon, Jordan Fuller, MJ Stewart, Quandre Diggs. DeMonte Casey has a very extensive history with Dan Quinn, but I don't think he's going to bring him back. He was at Dan Quinn in Atlanta. He was with Dan Quinn in Dallas. I don't think he's going to bring him back here, though. I wouldn't rule it out. Ashley Davis, Sam Franklin. Javon Holland is a name that everyone loves. You want to see how much Javon Holland's going to command on the open market? Somewhere in that neighborhood. He may not get 15. That's a big number, right? He might not get 15, but he's going to get 12. He's going to get 11, right? That's a lot of money to be paying a safety a year when you have other needs that aren't as pressing. And again, if you were going out and getting a Javon Holland, that would mean you don't have a Quan Martin, because they're similar players, right? Like, you're not going to take Quan Martin and all of a sudden say, all right, Quan, you're going to go be down by the line of scrimmage. That's not Quan Martin's game. They like Quan Martin as a single high, free safety, a guy that's the last line of defense that can get guys on the ground and cap runs, cap plays, right? Holland is more of a playmaker, guy you would love to have, but it ain't happening, right? We ain't paying that kind of money and divulging that kind of money to the position. Richie Grant, Chuck Clark, Jordan Poyer, Someone asked me about Trevon Merrick, and they asked, was he an upgrade over Jeremy Chin? And I'm like, nah, he's not. Look at how much money he's supposed to get, though. I don't think he's getting anywhere near this, by the way. He's been good. He ain't been that great, right? Let's look at his numbers. The man he's had 5 interceptions over the last 2 seasons and 3 sacks, which isn't bad. 6 career interceptions isn't bad in the life of his career. But I've watched him play. I got a Raiders fan buddy who's like, yeah, you can have him. I'm good. He'll get paid somewhere. It won't be anywhere near that money though, but he won't be coming here either, I don't think. Saran Neal, Eric Murray, and then it just gets progressively worse. I actually was at one point an Andre Cisco fan. Andre Cisco was a ball hawking free safety that came into the league with injury concerns. As you can see, he had 3 in his second season, 4 in his third season, 1 last year. That's 8 interceptions in 4 years, 8 in the last 3 years to be exact. This is a guy that will attack the football. He's a true free safety, every sense of the word, that's going to attack the football. Here's the problem with Andre Cisco. He's not extremely fast, so you can't put him as your single high free safety. And again, we already have a center fielder that they like. You may not love him, neither do I, but he's good. Quan Martin's a good football player, right? He's not great, nothing to write home about. This is the reason why I feel the way I feel. And as you can see, the rest of the names here, including Derek Forrest, none of these names are needle movers or guys that you probably should be considering. Talanoa Hufanga is a name that our GM will be very, very familiar with. Let's see what he's supposed to get. $12 million a year is what they're projecting. I can't see him getting that kind of money. Let's just check on his numbers real quick, though. He had that one crazy year where he was taking the ball away. So 2 years of ball production, his second year and his third year, 7 total picks, 2 forced fumbles in that year. This is the year 2022 when he went crazy. 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 4 interceptions. He looked like he was a budding star. He looked like the next Troy Polamalu. Then he got injured, kind of fell off. You can see the games played the last 2 years, not very good, right? So there are injury concerns with him. He's a bit of a freelancer, so he's not always where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there, that kind of thing. Anyway, I digress. So I bring this up. I bring this up because in my mind's eye, the safety position is one that we just kind of sort of said, oh, okay, no, we're good here, right? And I just think we could do better at safety. But what does doing better look like? Because what I can tell you is they're very comfortable with Quan Martin. And again, he's a rookie, he's on a rookie deal. He's not going anywhere. They still got 2 more years of him on his rookie contract. Last year was year 2 for Quan. So they got 2 more years on that rookie deal, and they're comfortable with him. They like Quan. They like what he does. And again, I've already told you, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You can't fix everything in one off season. So that's kind of what I think about the tight end position. Like, very similar to the safety position. If it ain't broke, I'm not going to look to fix it, right? Could you upgrade the tight end position? Hell yeah. You don't have to bring back Zach Ertz. Yeah, he was really good last season, but you can do better. But guess what? He's going to be a cheap option. You don't have to spend a ton of resources in a year where you can look to maybe get better in other places. It's a position you could just take off the board and say, all right, we don't need that position because we got it taken care of. Same thing with safety, right? Yeah. Could you go better? Could you have a better safety than tandem than Quan Martin and Jeremy Chin, or at least upgrade Jeremy Chin? Yeah, you could. You damn right you could. But in an offseason where you're only in year 2 of this recalibration, and yes, you're ahead of schedule, but we got the most free agents of any team in the league. We have the least amount of players signed to the roster of any team heading into the new league year. Like, this roster is going to look vastly different than it did a season ago, just like it looked vastly different last year from the season prior to that. This is going to be very similar to the year before. There's going to be a number of one-year deals, a couple of guys signed here maybe on a 2-year deal, and then you're going to get the 2 or 3 or maybe 4 guys that they really like, that they go out aggressively and hunt and bring in here on 3-year deals, right? They're not going to spend, like, we think they're going all in, and they may go all in. They may. I'm hoping that they really go heavy this offseason, but he's going to be smart. Adam Peters is going to be smart. He's not going to go so far, push all of his chips to the center of the table to the point where you're paying for it later. He's not going to do that. He's going to be smart. He's going to be strategic in how he moves and how he operates. And so the safety position feels like one of those positions. I don't have to do much. Draft a young safety, bring back Jeremy Chin. The room is complete. It won't cost you a lot to bring back Jeremy Chin on a 3-year deal. 3 years, $21 million. Boom, you got Jeremy Chin. He's out of the way. Got your safety position squared away. Draft a safety that you like, and if he develops faster than you thought, maybe he can get on the field early. If not, they still got Percy Butler. I don't love it. You don't love it. But that's more likely than not what's going to transpire. I would like to upgrade linebacker. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Bobby Wagner was an all-pro last year. Bring back Bobby Wagner. Not going to cost you a lot. You know he's a leader on this team. They like Jordan McGee. They want to develop Jordan McGee. They think he might be ready to go after this season. They were hoping, this is what they were hoping, that he would be ready this year, and they didn't have to bring back Bobby Wagner. They thought at some point Jordan McGee would be willing to be ready to come in, take some snaps, and show what they thought about him coming into last year's draft, and that he would be ready to take over this year. Didn't quite happen that way due to injuries. So you probably bring back Bobby for one more year, get those reps for Jordan McGee this year, and then hopefully he's ready to take over next year. I want to see an upgrade in speed now. To hell with next year, right? Every year that we don't take advantage of Jaden Daniels' rookie contract is a year wasted. Okay? So my clock is sped up exponentially because of Jaden's development and growth in year one. We went from, hey, let's just hope we got a quarterback, to, oh shit, not only do we have a quarterback, we can win the Super Bowl. We skip steps. And that's how my mind is working now. Every year we're not trying to win a Super Bowl is a year wasted. So yeah, don't mind me. I'm just over here spitballing, right? I'm trying to get better across the board everywhere. I know it's not feasible, but that's not going to stop me from trying, right? I know what wisdom, with conventional wisdom says. Probably not going to do anything at safety. Probably just going to bring back Jeremy Chin and draft a safety, which is fine. Probably not going to do anything at tight end, but bring back Zach Ertz. Maybe you bring in another tight end if you don't bring back John Bates, but I think they're going to bring back Bates because they like him as a blocker, and I think they're going to bring back Ertz. And you're going to be like, shit, they did the same thing. I get it. I understand. Because why? Because you got to do something at edge rusher. You got to do something at corner. You got to do something at running back, because you got to do something at wide receiver. You got other positions that you have to tighten up. That's not optional. You have to. We only have 2 receivers on the roster, like under contract. We only have 2 corners on the roster under contract. Like, you have to do something at those positions. That's not optional. So I get it. But it ain't going to stop me from trying, right? Anyway, I digress. Let me get y'all out of here, man. I ain't come here to talk y'all to death. Rob, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, love K Full, but at 30 years old, I'll pass. Yeah, me too. And they've already spoken on K Full, right? They already spoke when they let him walk after last year coming in. They could have kept him. They could have extended, and maybe they did extend something to him. I doubt it. K Full is a hometown kid. He went to Virginia Tech. You know, he went to one of the local schools up here in the DMV. Like, this is where he wants to be. He wanted them, they didn't want him. So he left and got some bread elsewhere. I don't see a reunion, right? I don't see a reunion. J Sauer 90, been a member for 37 months. Salute to you, who writes, what about Gabe Taylor, Sean's brother at free safety? Can he even play? Like, y'all keep asking me, like, and I'm not trying to be an asshole. Like, I know nothing about him. Can he play? I'm not interested in nostalgia. I'm not interested in bringing in somebody because they were Sean Taylor's brother. I don't care that he's Sean Taylor's brother. And I'm not trying to be insensitive, and I'm not trying to be a jerk. Can he play? If he's good, I'm all about it. I haven't watched him. I just know a lot of fans are hung up on the fact that he's Sean Taylor's brother. That don't mean nothing to me. If he can't play, I'm not interested. So again, I'm not trying to be an asshole. You're like the 15th person that's asked me about Gabe Taylor. If he's good, I'm all for it. If he can ball, hell yeah, I'm sign me up. If you're just doing it off of nostalgic purposes because he's Sean Taylor's brother, I don't want any parts of it. Okay. So again, I don't know anything about Gabe Taylor. Don't know anything about him. And again, y'all can't ask me nothing about the draft. I can't tell you Gabe Taylor from Ron Taylor, from Otis Taylor, from Jamel Taylor. I can't tell y'all nothing about nobody. I haven't watched anybody. Stop asking me about draft dudes. I'll tell y'all when I'm ready for the draft questions. You'll know because I'll start doing draft videos. And I'll tell you, I broke the seal, guys. I'm looking at prospects. I ain't looked at nobody. So you can't ask me about nobody because I don't know nothing. Okay? All my videos have been free agent based. That's where my head is. Because I'm trying to get better now because I'm trying to win a Super Bowl. If we were still building, I'd be talking about the draft. We can do both simultaneously, right? You can build, which is what the draft is all about, and you can supplement. Right now, I'm on the supplementation process. That's all I'm thinking about because that's first. And honestly speaking, that's what's going to get us to our destination faster. You need both, but I'm stuck on this one here. Eventually, I'm going to start working on this one over here. But right now, I'm here. Free agency, supplementation. That's where I am. Eventually, I'll get here. Draft, building, right? Building insinuates future. Supplementation insinuates now. I'm here now. Win now. Super Bowl now. That's where I am. This is later. This will help us 2 years, 3 years down the road. I'm for that as well. But I'm about this right now. This one. Okay. Sorry. I'll get there eventually. Well, I'll have both of them ready. Right now, I'm here. All right. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this installment of the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Leave it down in the comment section. How do you feel about K. Fuller? How do you feel about the safety position? Be honest. It's okay to be honest. You don't have to love Jeremy Chin. I don't love him. I like him a lot. I like him a lot. I don't love him. Hell, I don't love Quan Martin. I like him a lot, though. I don't dislike either one of them. And if they're both back and they're both starting, I got no issues with it. I'd love to see what these guys look like in year 2 of Joe Witt Jr.'s scheme. With more talent around them, I'd love to see what they can do. I'm okay with that. I wouldn't be disappointed. I wouldn't be upset at all if they just said, we're good at safety. But could we upgrade? You're damn right. But you can't do it all at once, right? And I get that. Leave it down in the comment section. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. You guys enjoy your weekend. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I'll see you guys next time. You might see me sooner than you think. You guys have a good one. Take care.